time to design projects to come to construction, and also what are going to be constructed. Okay, so it is a 5-year plan that goes to council for approval every July. Okay, the next one coming is this coming July. So the first time that Westridge actually appeared in that plan was in 2015. Okay, so since then, we procured a designer for what we call now the phase 2, the sub-project 1 for the first part, right? And we were doing all the analysis based on the old way of the way we do drainage mitigation. This is really a drainage mitigation project. So it's initiated because of drainage, okay? So we did all the analysis, and in 2018, we hit this wall that there was a new rainfall data that came into our standards. And they call it Atlas 14. These are all technical terms. But all it is that we have to assume some sort of rainfall to size the storm drain system that we designed. That was increased. Okay? So when that increased, really, it just got, it threw our analysis off. So, and in a lot of ways, and it did happen on a lot of projects that were within the CIP, really changed our approach on how we handle these projects. It really fundamentally changed how we think of drainage mitigation. And one of them is, in the old days, really, we put our blinders on and said, the bayous don't matter. We try to catch as much as we can within the street. But we know that the bayous really matter. The outfall is the most important thing, actually. Because if something backs up from the bayous, then it is a big problem, no matter how much infrastructure you put into the roads. So most of the system that's been designed is already implemented. The Linkwood project is all through that, because it was our standard at that time. But in 2018, when we were in the middle of this project number 1, it really threw us off. So we went back into a lot of analysis. Again, how do we resolve this? And Public Works have done a great job, I think, since then, how to partner with Harris County Flood Control District on mitigating these kind of things. So what we call phase 1 today, the phase 1 implementation, is that solution that came for the drainage mitigation for this neighborhood. Okay, just keep that in mind, all right? So that's where we're at.
Excuse me.
Yes?
So all the work you did on Praise Bayou, that was part of the mitigation project, right?
It is. Anything that...
Right now, I thought we finished, and then we drove by a couple days ago, and there's all kinds of construction equipment.
Okay.
The moderator, but can we let him finish? We're gonna have time for Q&A.
We'll
Okay.
definitely answer.
No problem.
Okay. So, thank you. So that's where we're at currently. So this plan, the phase 3 that we really devised, I really want you to know this, the history, first of all. And I do apologize, you know that. So I'm going to show you how it really is the fastest way that we can implement it based on where we're at currently with the data that we got and the design capacity that we got. So how to implement this continually. So one thing also I want to highlight is, yes, we do have the CIP plan, right? That's not a permission to actually spend money. Every time we have a design project or a construction project, we go to council for money to be appropriated to us so we can spend it, okay? The plan is the plan, it adjusts every year, but when we go for design appropriation and things like that, that's when we actually get the permission to spend the money, okay? So, just remember that one, because it was really important. That's how we can facilitate phase 2, what we call phase 2. Oh. Great. Okay. Okay, I'll speed up. All right, so the part of the deal that has been that's been implemented here is, and I want you to think of an analogy of a house remodeling versus reconstruction. What this neighborhood is gonna get is a complete reconstruction. It's as if you are tearing down the whole house and rebuilding it again. That means you require more design, detailed design, and it has to go through a lot more coordination because we have to change the elevation of the grade as well. But the rehabilitation strategy is more of a remodeling. You're just taking the facade off, the structure is still the same in the house, and you're doing it, which is much faster. And it doesn't require as much design. So, based on where we're at today, the mitigation measure is phase 1, right? And I did include this highlight to show you that really, all 3 phases, we are doing something with it right now, okay? There's something being done on all phases right now, and we're trying to meet the requirements of the design, the money appropriation, and the construction as well. So on phase 1, as you can see, we already have done the design, so we can actually do the implementation. And in our business, construction, implementation is the fastest route. Holding a project because construction is ready is a bad idea because the design have to change because of standards and all that stuff. And on phase 2, because we already have money appropriated for it, that we can start the design a little bit early. That's the yellow line that you see, okay? Because we already have appropriated council funds, so we can move to design very, very quickly. But for phase 3, we really have to go to solicitation and getting a designer and all that stuff. And that is why it is kind of shifted. And the other thing I would say is on top of this map, on this display, really want you to concentrate when the fiscal year starts. And I've heard this comment several times, oh, it's gonna start in FY28, and then it might even end in in 2030 or something like that. But FY28 is really July 2027. And we are proposing, this is very helpful. We're confident that we can finish this by 2028. Yes, end of 2028. Okay?
We're talking about 28, right? I didn't hear you.
The year 2028. So, right there, that's really July 28th, and it's almost a year on there. But it's the fiscal year that we started the project is in July 2027. The phase 3.
So would that be when you would break ground?
Correct. Correct. So, if you notice the green, for the neighborhood, it really shouldn't be any different. And my challenge to the project team is, once construction starts, you will see the other one starting, and you will see the other one starting. It's just different contractor. The work is just continuing. Does that kind of make sense?
So will there be work going on simultaneously between phase 2 and phase 3? Are they overlapping phases?
If there is any shifts, yes. But typically, no.
So what decided which neighborhood got into phase 2 and which neighborhood got into phase 3?
That's a very good question. The typical decision-making was, we already have the money and the data to start the design a lot earlier for phase 2.
Correct, but I think what she's trying to do is the area that needs to be reconstructed, that's the Norwood neighborhood and the Westridge neighborhood. And it looks like Norwood's getting the work done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when we came up with the drainage mitigation plan, the designers were doing this portion. So they have already collected the data, the survey, and all that stuff. And that is why we can move to design very, very fast, because we already have all this. With these one, the lower one, this is actually the older map. Yeah, this one. On this one, we have to procure a designer. Really, that's what takes time, because we don't have any of the survey. We don't have anything, so we have to go procure the designer, have a contract with them, and then do the design and then construct it, basically. That is why, really. So the way we devise these three phases is really based on the data and the information we got today, and how fast can we get to all 3 to construction. Bottom line.
Yeah.
So Director,
Yes.
Yeah, did you turn the lights on, please?
I think I want you to explain like phase one is the drainage part.
Oh,
Because I feel like we
Councilmember,
missed
make
that
sure.
part. Like phase one is the big drainage project, and then
So-
phase two and then.
so Mayor Pro Tem wanted to make this point very clear, that this is a drainage initiated project. So phase one just so happens that what we have designed is the drainage, the primary drainage mitigation. So having that implemented is probably the right thing. Phase two and phase three is really street reconstruction with the sidewalks and all that stuff. Yes, it does help drainage a little because it gets water faster to what we are already improving. But the primary mitigation measure is phase one, and it is a good idea really to do that initially because that gets implemented very fast.
So, if I understand you correctly, you don't actually do it geographically, you sort of do it.
Louder.
Can
you speak up?
So, it's sort of geographical and sort of by item, is what I
Correct.
understand you saying.
You're absolutely correct. And the geography of it, phase two and phase three, was established for us since the initial study.
Okay.
It just so happens that the data we got is within that breakdown. So it is to our advantage to proceed fast.
Okay. Well, you have access to a lot of the stuff that we don't have, project information, et cetera. Is the project going to include the pipes underneath the streets?
That's a good question. So when we do these kind of reconstruction, typically it is a good opportunity for us to replace it. The reason that it's not here is it's just a different funding source. It's the utility fund that does the water line replacement. But I can promise you here, I'll make almost 100% of these kind of reconstruction we do, yes, we replace the water line because it makes sense, we're ripping it all out. Okay? So we'll be part of it.
Okay, great.
So phase one, physically happens where?
It's in the channel, along Timber. So it's upside, it's really rehabilitating the box and the inlets from all the neighborhood. That little trunk line that goes to Gray's Bayou,
Okay.
that's the primary mitigation measure.
Now, I have what do they call it?
A drainage easement.
A drainage box, a drainage concrete, right, in my backyard. Is that gonna require that mitigation process?
It has to be. As we do the box and all the inlets that feed into the box, we'll have to handle it as part of that phase one project.
And so when do we get to the drainage process to mitigate, rainwater on the streets?
It's part of the reconstruction of the street.
That's gonna be phase three.
Phase two and three, basically, because it's divided by subregion. We'll be upgrading the inlets. You gotta remember that this neighborhood is actually divided into two drainage areas. One goes to the box and the other one goes to the Buffalo Bayou trunk line. So we will be upgrading those as part of this.
Great, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Darren?
Oh,
So
So-
to confirm, phase one, when does that start again?
We're saying it's by Q4 of 2024, so pretty soon.
So
We
this
already
year.
have the bid opening.
24.
So this year.
This year.
So just to confirm that water supply lines as well as drainage, the incoming as well as the outgoing will all be replaced.
It is. The commitment that everybody did is we're gonna be reconstructing almost everything on this corridor.
just to piggyback on that, so just to dumb it down to those.
Okay.
So flooding versus broken pipes.
Street reconstruction.
So
Okay.
to mitigate flooding versus mitigating broken pipes.
Totally two separate things.
Okay.
One
and
is
in
water
which-
line.
Right,
Okay.
and one is, so ingoing and outgoing.
Correct.
Okay, and those are both in the first, section of this?
They, hold on, no, the water pipes are part of phase 2 and phase 3. When we rip the street up,
Right.
is
and
when we
do
can
the
get to
large-
it and do the water lines. But the drainage mitigation mostly is happening with the trunk line and some in phase 2 and phase 3 as we're replacing the inlets, upsizing.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I just want to add, so phase 1 has already been designed and it's going to
Correct.
be implemented for construction, correct?
Correct,
And it's supposed to start soon.
correct,
And it has an end date.
correct.
And does it have a scope of work?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And where can we see the scope of work?
I have to give that information.
Okay. Second question is,
Sorry, Melissa.
Well- He can ask his second question.
I've got the floor. Second question is, do you already have the scope of work for the phase 2 and phase 3 portion of this? Because in 2013, when I was here,
Mhm.
and they had a scope of the whole shebang.
Mhm.
They had it laid out, this is what you're gonna get. Multiple people asked all kinds of questions, and we all got answers. So, section 2 and section 3, do you have the scope of work for that?
Yes, we do. We have a
Where is
list
it?
of bullet items in that presentation that we did. And it is on the website as well.
Okay.
But what it includes really is, let me just summarize it for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Streets,
Uh-huh.
the entire street ripped out and replaced. More than likely, we'll do the water line, I'm very sure about that.
If there was a storm sewer in the middle of that street, is that still in the scope?
No, because the mitigation measure for the
Okay,
storm
okay, I
is
get it.
as part of the phase 1.
Okay, so there's no storm sewer, because all our sewers in this neighborhood is in the back of the house. Okay, in the old scope, it was in the middle of the street. That meant all the sewers from the back of the house had to be rerouted to the center of the street. Is that still in the
No.
scope of work? No? So the old sewer system that we have right now today is gonna remain?
Is going to remain.
Is gonna remain, okay. So the only thing we're gonna have in the new scope of work is gonna be streets, maybe water line, because the gas lines are in the back of the house.
Mhm.
So the only thing we're gonna have is water, probably, and streets, and street lights.
Sidewalks.
Right?
Sidewalks.
Well, sidewalks, okay, sidewalks, so that's gonna be it.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Thank you. And phase 2 and phase 3's potentially start dates when?
I'll give you that, I'm gonna give it to you, so you'll see all the details laid out. I just wanna ask you a question, if I can answer. Okay, so here it says, for phase 2, it says design to start summer.
Louder, please.
2024. Design to start summer 2024, final design complete summer 2025. What I understood from when you were talking, are you farther ahead on the design and studies for phase 2?
Not really, it's the same year too.
It's the same.
It's the same. It's FY 26, we gotta look at that. Yeah,
So here's my question.
it's very aligned.
Here's my question.
It's just a different way of putting it.
We have basically a massive presentation back in 2012 and in 2016 where everything got fully scoped out and understood to be done. Everything was started, right? 2 of the neighborhoods got done, 1 of them didn't, or two didn't, depending on your county. We're here today, we're hearing that we had to redesign everything because of Harvey, right? Understood, fine. Here's our new design, we need to redesign literally everything from the ground up again in order to get what we, something similar to what we had seen before. If there's another Harvey, or when there's another Harvey, climate change, whatever, are we gonna have to go through this whole process again?
No.
Good question.
No, not at all. And this is my commitment to you, okay? You can take this to the bank. The scope, no, yeah, seriously, yeah, it's all right. It's all right, it's all right. Because what we're doing here is really to reconstruct the streets and the water line, based on the last design that you saw where there were huge amount of inline detention. It is a totally different elevation requirement than what we need. That is why really it needs to be designed. Okay, so yes, this is going to happen, and in July of this year, all these phase 3-phase plan will be in the CIP plan before we bring it to council to vote on. Okay?
Mike, can I add to that?
So, no Harvey or any flood can impact this because this is not a drainage project, this is street reconstruction. So irrespective of what climatic changes happen, the street will be reconstructed.
Including the ice area.
The water line?
Yeah, no, scraping, damage.
No, it's a total reconstruction.
Okay,
So-
who's had their hand up?
So I just have,
Yeah, I had a question because in the initially scoped project, what's currently phase 2 and phase 3 were combined into a single phase 3. So I'm unclear now why the two projects need to be scoped separately and started on separate timelines, and how you got ahead on the design on that northern section of streets.
No, the previously issued task order, part of the design, is only for sub-project number 1, as they call it phase 2. It did not include what we call phase 3 today. So that's the little wrinkle on this, on what you said.
So phase 3 was originally broken into sub-project 1 and sub-project 2?
No. Sub-project number 2 is what we call phase 2 today. And phase 3 is what we called sub-project number 2 last time, okay? But that design, really, we did not do any of the data collection on the, what we call phase 3 and sub-project number 2 from the past.
On the original project,
Correct.
there were Linkwood, Woodside in phases 1 and 2. And the northern section and Westridge were both phase 3. Phase 3 never happened.
It never happened.
Now you're saying, once again, we have to split them.
No,
And Westridge is the
Has three
third
phases.
phase again.
I think there's a little misunderstanding. Even if, when you see the old display, it was already divided into sub-project number 1 and number 2. The design that we have done is on sub-project number 1 only.
Okay,
Okay, that's really the answer. And
Okay.
that's why we got the data.
okay.
What we call phase 3 today is not.
yeah, so my question is, just if you go back to your project slide, I look at those quite a bit. I see phase 1 that you've started, you've done your engineering. I don't understand why the other two can't slide up. Because the first one is a engineering plan for a pipe that goes down that. The other two are kind of independent, right? When you look at phase 2 and phase 3 are more street repairs. And when you look at those, when I look at your bar charts, I see the ability to pull those two forward and still, and kind of compress the time frame. So maybe you could talk a little bit about why that's not feasible. Maybe I don't know everything about the project. I understand you got one part of the engineering done. Why can't you pull the engineering for both together, run these things parallel?
I didn't say engineering done. I said we have the funding appropriated already.
So is this a funding issue then?
Yes.
No, it is not. It is not. The funding was appropriated as part of the old designer. So we have Asani Engineering that are doing the design for phase number 1. Okay, before we changed all the approach, they did all that. But with that appropriation that council already has approved, we have funding capacity that we can start them very quickly on the design. That's what this is. Okay? This is exactly what we're doing. We're using the same designer because we already have a funding appropriation to use them to design this. On this one, we have to go solicit another designer.
Okay, so, let me interject real quick, sir.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I live on, Westridge, Armory, and I'm engineer Michael.
Okay.
And thank you, appreciate the details before. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
And you said it's on, phase 3, you need appropriation for funding, potentially for the design, everything starts, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so follow up with that question, have you, I guess you're waiting on, the key is, are you waiting on approval from the
No,
city
not at
or
all.
something that's getting your funding?
Not at all.
To keep you start off your project or?
Not at all.
What, my question is,
Yeah.
I'm engineer too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So my question is, why, for all this, constructions of the street and sidewalk and stuff has to be to 2028. If we, let's say, if the council woman gave you the farm, everything, can you start your engineering, your study, your analysis, everything quicker?
No, we can't. The reason is,
Even if I help you?
the design itself takes time.
I understand.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not a funding question. So really, we have not collected any of the data to even start.
So is your resources limited?
So right,
Is your resources limited? You do the study, the engineering, or what is the?
within the city of Houston, okay, there are state laws that we have to follow. Unlike the private side, where we can get a contract very easily, we do have very strict state laws that we have to follow to procure the design and also select a bid and all that stuff. So really, what we're saying here is we have to procure the designer, go through council action, because we cannot spend any money. When we say appropriation, it's literally a formality that it has to go through council so they can allow us to spend the money. So you have to do that, and then you start the design, and then the bid, and then the bid, also the contract goes to the council, right? And then you start the thing. So it's not really a funding issue if the council member or anybody gets it.
My question is, when can you start your design? Do you need funding from city for you to start, or engineering your design? Or what? Yes, you don't have design.
Outside designer, right?
No, you first you have the funding, right? Once you approve the funding, you solicitate the designer, correct?
Correct.
You put out your bids. You get your bids, you evaluate them.
It's
and
the other way around, actually. We solicit and all that stuff without any funding appropriation. We can solicit that. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. But the funding portion comes into play after council has approved the design contract. Then we can start actually spending on it, which comes in FY26, which is a lot of the things that you see on the map. So I think you're kind of mixing up it's not a money question. We just don't have the designer yet. We have to go through the process to secure them.
If it's not money question, why can't we start design earlier?
There's a process, procurement process, and that's the process that we gotta live with. That's all it is. The process in place, and you can't charge.
What I'm saying really is, thank you.
Listen, we thought we had a plan back in 2010.
Thank you.
Okay.
We walked the streets and we got signatures of every owner so that we could redo our streets. And we got it all approved. We called and said, now what do we do? And it's all we changed. We changed the way we going to do things.
What I will tell you is,
And so
from
now,
here on, what we're
I've
presenting
been here
here,
40 years.
I'll give you my commitment in Public Works and the director and Mayor Pro Tem right here, is that we will implement this as planned.
Okay, so maybe to wrap up many of these thoughts, my question to the both of you is that we as citizens, because you have many state limitations, do we as citizens, can we make a motion to the council so that we can
To
move
move
forward?
it, to speed it up, like what
Because
can we do?
as you can see, we're very
Process.
tired over here, and we need to move this forward.
And
So
I-
you can continue sending the letters and the emails, but there's still a process that the city has to go through. So we'll read the emails, we'll respond back to your emails, but that does not negate the fact that the state requires us to procure before we go to design. And that procurement process could take 6 to 9 months. And so there's a process that we have to procure first before we get to the design phase. The money is allocated for us to start phase 1, so you're going to get the detention. And I will tell you, the easiest way that it was explained to me was, before we even got here, Public Works used to do the drainage projects, and that required them to also redo streets. So you're getting a drainage project that's not under a street. And so that project has been realigned. And so we want to make sure that we have the drainage project, which is phase 1, done, because we want to make sure we keep water out of folks' homes. And then we will reconstruct the streets for the beautification to make it look good. A long time ago, they did them simultaneously. So they did the drainage and the streets simultaneously. We're not doing this one simultaneously, so we've got 3 phases. We have the drainage phase, so we can keep water out of your homes, and then we know how long you've been waiting for your streets to be fixed. This was the source of contention that we went back and forth with Mayor Turner, that we're talking to Mayor Whitmire. We've got to have this money to fix their streets. The other neighborhoods have their streets fixed. They deserve to have their streets fixed as well. And so originally the plan was to not reconstruct them. I was like, oh my God, we've got to reconstruct these streets. People have been waiting, and Mayor Turner agreed and Public Works agreed. So we allocated some more money for a total reconstruction. It's not ideal, but I'm telling you, it's the best that we have right now. And I can guarantee you that we'll get that drainage project done and we will reconstruct your streets. I wish that we could do what we said we were gonna do 13 years ago. None of us here said it and can do it. There's nothing I can do about that. If I could, I would. But what I can do is commit to you that we're going to work on this as fast as we can.
Would y'all like to walk down our streets at the end of this meeting?
We've seen them.
Walk down Bevelin, walk it, in the dark. Walk it.
And there may be
You
something
can't
that
walk
we
it.
can,
You public works people,
there
walk
may
all the
be
way down
something we
Bevelin.
can do temporarily to help with the light.
Listen, they've taken their team and they've gone and showed the streets in the day and the night. They know the situation, and I believe that they're doing the best that they can to help us, given the constraints that they can't see, they can't change. They have agreed to do the pipes underneath, which is a big deal. Okay?
I just have one question. Going forward, so I appreciate the commitment. For me, the biggest worry was it was just gonna be a patch-up job, and I didn't want that after waiting for so long. But what, if I can just understand the communication lines, because I think there was a big disconnect. Because when I agreed to be on the board, we were fundraising for the difference of the new street lights. And one of our representatives that went to the Bracewood Super Neighborhood was told, yes, go ahead and fundraise for the lights. So we went asking people for money, and then we had to go back and say, whoops, there's not gonna be anything, no lights, no nothing, it was de-scoped. So the communication was, from the city to you guys, to us, like how can we get, can someone keep updating us? Yes. Is there a path to that so that we don't have that disconnect?
Well, I would also say that the communication team just created another website for the design of phase 2 of phase 3. So if you have any questions on any of these, you can actually start using it to communicate with us as well.
Is there a meeting that
Meaning, with what we have already and what we're gonna do.
Are you familiar with the Engage Houston site?
Yes.
Okay, so I know that Kenya is here and our communication team. They do a good job of keeping that updated. You can always email our office. Dee Dee is very efficient. We will get you the updates that you need, but most of the time it will be on the site. I know people are like, I don't want to go to the site. I just want you to tell me. We're happy to do that too. So if you need something immediate, we can get that to you as fast as we can. But I know Kenya is committed to keeping that site updated. So, and we can put it in our newsletter when something changes or if something progresses. We can put a little article in the newsletter that says we moved on to phase 2. this is what's happening. We want to communicate with you as often as you like, and we're happy to do that from our office in coordination with Public Works. Kenny, you want to add something?
I do. How many of you have been to engagehouston.org? Okay, good. So the first phase is a drainage project. So when you go to engagehouston.org, click drainage project, go down to Westridge, and you'll see the project page there with everything that we are sharing with you on the project. We also post updates to the project. So subscribe to that project page, and you will receive those updates as they become available. Today, we have created a project page for phase 2 and 3. So go to engagehouston.org, click on street projects, go to Westridge, click the link, and you will see the map, the timeline that we're sharing with you today. You will see that there as well. You can click the tab Engage Us. If you have more questions after this meeting, please type in your questions. You can email us at engage@houstonpx.org, and email us directly. And I promise you, my public engagement team reads every email and responds in a timely manner. So this is the tool for you to keep, for the transparency piece, and to get updates and to get all the information you need about this project that you're so passionate about.
So regarding phase 1, the trunk line rehabilitation piece, can someone explain why we're doing it from the bottom up, the furthest point away from the bayou to the bayou, and not the egress point, which is the bayou, down? Because why are we dumping 6 times water into the neighborhood? That's what's happening if you work from the bottom up. Elevation top down, but from the
Talking
bottom.
about
you
the
get 610.
construction sequencing?
Correct. It starts at 610 and then moves north to get to Berry's Bayou, as opposed to starting near Berry's Bayou,
Yeah.
which is the egress point.
You're talking about the
I think-
project.
Yeah.
Phase 1 of the new Timberside.
I think what we need to do is
Drainage.
respond on how we will be keeping up with the drainage during the construction.
So the existing system is still going to be in place, so they're going to be retrofitting it. So-
Understood, but they're working from the south side, from 610,
Right.
they're working northward with
Right.
rehab. So the newer pipe will be further away and be dumping more water into the neighborhood. That can't handle the bigger pipe that you're rehabilitating.
We typically start from downstream, but we verify that and we'll respond back.
Appreciate it.
It was very clear that it was starting.
Yeah.
So we're at time right now. Oh, sorry. There.
I'm sorry, number one, thank you for coming.
Yes.
And
Yes.
thank you for being transparent. One simple question. I live on Elmridge, and we had a water leak in the middle of the street for 120 days. I'd like to know the process over the next 4 years that we should follow to expedite repairs so that we don't have subsidence of our houses until the water line is repaired.
So the quickest way is to report it to 311, get the service request number, and then call Barbara Height in my office. Report that service
Okay.
request number to Barbara, and she will help to expedite the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.